Hey guys, this is Mike Tarallo with Qlik, and today I will present a two-part video that will give you a product tour of our cloud-based editions of Qlik Sense. Now, part one will briefly introduce you to the main interface, show how you can quickly create an app, add data and visualizations, and part two will show you the various options that are available that will allow you to manage your content from the new hub interface. So, let's get started. Cloud-based editions of Qlik Sense consist of our newly released SaaS offering, Qlik Sense Business, as well as deployment options for Qlik Sense that can be used on private or public clouds of your choice. Qlik Sense Enterprise on Kubernetes, where you are in complete control of the environment, or Qlik Sense Enterprise on Qlik Cloud Services, where we manage the infrastructure. Now, regardless of the edition or deployment option, the way you navigate the hub, manage apps and data, and create analytics is exactly the same. There are slight differences in governance, administration, and management, which can be reviewed in our other resources and help documentation. So, without any further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, so the screen you see here is the home interface, or what is also known as the hub. Now, this example that we have in front of you here is an example of Qlik Sense Enterprise on Kubernetes, or it also is my version on Qlik Cloud Services because we use the same architecture. This has been set up for me. The reason I bring this up is that there are slight differences when it comes to authentication and administration and management versus our SaaS offering, Qlik Sense Business. And the reason I want to show you that is you'll notice that in the welcome screen, we have a link to set up an identity provider. Now that has been set up for me by an administrator. I don't have to mess with that on this particular release. But for Qlik Sense Business, you'll see that you'll probably have a banner if you're in a trial mode. And at the same time, you also have this box to invite users via email. And then there's links to other resources. That's the slight difference when you see the welcome screen here. We can kind of close this and dismiss it. And then later on, you can actually activate it again directly from the profile menu. Now, for this instance of the product tour, I'm going to focus on the example using the Qlik Sense Enterprise on Qlik Cloud Services or Kubernetes. So we're going to dismiss the welcome message, and you'll notice that we have content that is available at my fingertips immediately. And we also have content that's been added to my recent favorites. I'm not going to touch on this just yet. We'll touch on this in the second half. What we're going to do right now is just create an app, because we know many people, when they either explore or they learn new software, they just want to see, how can I create my analytics fairly quickly? So we're going to go right up to the top, and you'll see there's a button, Create. If I click Create, we have a link to create an app or a link to upload an app. For example, like a QVF file. So at this point, you would click Upload App, and then you would browse for your QVF file, and you could insert it into this particular space that you have available, for example. A space is just how you organize and secure content. But in this example here, we're just going to click Create App and give the app a name. And I'll call this one Sales Dashboard-2019. And you'll notice that I have a number of different spaces available. So Qlik Sense Business, you have up to 5 spaces that you can use to organize and secure your content. With Qlik Sense Enterprise on Qlik Cloud Services or Kubernetes, you basically have an unlimited number of spaces that you can manage. So we're just going to put this in my own personal space, and we'll click Create. And now I have the new app in my personal space. Now, there is a submenu here, and this action menu allows you to perform a number of different actions. We'll touch on that after we create the app. Simply click on the app, and this will bring us into the Getting Started Adding Data interface. Now, there are 2 ways of adding data from the wizards and adding data from the script editor. I will just leave it that if you're new, script editor is for more advanced data transformation and manipulation. But most people can add data directly through the data wizards. Now you have access to over 40 plus data sources. They're not all listed here. Other data sources are also listed in the data load editor. And then you have access to add data manually by entering in the data. For example, field names and rows. That's good for what we would call, a data island, or if you wanted to create like a simple lookup table as part of the data model. And there's also a place to store your data files. Now you can see I already have one here called Getting Started Data CSV. I'm just going to delete that for completeness and sake of the video. And you can see here, drop a file here or click to select a file. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to access my data folder. And there's my Getting Started Data, and I'm just going to drop it right on the canvas. And now my Getting Started Data file has been updated. I click on it. And now we can see that the file is inspected, and it allows me to make some changes, such as the delimiter is a comma. And there are my field names. Let's select all the fields, and let's add the data. Okay, so now the data has been added, and you're immediately brought into the app, and you have your fields on the left, and you also will have your properties on the right. But you'll see we've added to this particular release, September 2019, new natural language processing capabilities to our cognitive engine. That basically means that you can use natural language within your questions to search for what you're looking for. So here's a great example. I'll just say, show me sales for 2019. And you'll see that the cognitive engine actually parses the pieces of the information that it had profiled within the data, and it presents some significant results. In this case, showing me sales over time for 2019. Now I can say where order, and you can see here my fields have popped up. Order status is complete. And now we're looking at 2019, where order status is complete for sales. So I'm not going to focus too much on this. This is something you will experience when you go through the editions of Qlik Sense. There are other resources that cover this in greater detail, but this allows you to simply type in a particular question for the information you're looking for. You can see there are other results that are returned in other types of formats, bar charts or KPIs, and you can also add that to your sheet. I can clear my results. And if I just wanted to use automated chart suggestions, I can just click Generate Insights without asking any questions. And based off of the profiling from the fields and the data values, it produces more results. So for example, sum of sales by postal code, sum of sales and sum of cost by country. If I wanted to add this to my sheet, I can simply click Add to Sheet, or I could actually go in and edit this to tailor this and train the engine to learn a little bit more about how I want to see my data. So to give you an example, I can click on the edit, and let's say we don't want cost to be displayed in any of our results. We don't sum cost, maybe we average cost, or we don't use it at all. So you can see here we have some information on how it classified cost. Well, we can say, don't propose this again. And then we can confirm our change. Close our window and click Refresh Results. And you can see now sum of sales and cost has not been displayed. And then we can further train the engine along with other results if we want. I could also change, for example, the dimension, and I could also change the measures. But that being said, we can add that to the sheet as well. And if I go into edit mode, now my natural language processing suggested chart is present in my dashboard, as well as my geographical chart showing me sales and gross profit by city and country. Okay, just to wrap up this section of creating the app, you can see we have our fields on the left, our chart objects, our master items, which are our reusable expressions and dimensions and visualizations, as well as custom objects that include our visualization bundle and our dashboard bundle, which includes items for variables and date pickers and ways you could increase the interaction and visual richness of your apps. Once again, Our Getting Started webinar goes into a lot of these in more detail, and our resources and training also cover these. Okay, so just to wrap this up, I'm just going to grab one more field for chart suggestions. I'm going to grab my sales field, and then I'm going to grab my category name and drop it right on top of the KPI that was auto-created from just dropping my sales. And you see it automatically creates a bar chart. And the reason I'm showing you this is that chart suggestions can also be created by simply dragging and dropping fields onto the canvas. And then you'll notice if you click on this link here on the right, you can look at other recommended charts, or you can turn off chart suggestions and then have access to the full properties on the right to now tailor this to your specific need. Okay, so that's it for this video. In part 2, we'll navigate the hub and explore the main interface and discuss some of the content management options that are available.